the day of days is here. Alleluia. Festive, full of hope and cheer. Alleluia. At the sovereign's smiling in the sun. Alleluia. Loose and streamlets seaward run. Alleluia. And the great and leaf appear. Alleluia. 'Tis the springtide of the year. Alleluia. As Unitarian Universalists, we believe truth is larger than any one book or way. Religion and science can go hand in hand. Integrity requires freedom of conscience. Diversity is something to celebrate. In the struggle for justice, we come alive. Our highest aspiration and calling is love. Oh, the Easter tide is here. Alleluia. Music thrills the atmosphere. Alleluia. Join people all and sing. Alleluia. Love and praise and thanksgiving. Alleluia. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever path you are on, you are welcome here. We light our chalice this morning for the renewal of faith, for the renewal of hope, for the renewal of love. Thank you. Once again, welcome this morning to everyone. Welcome to the folks at home joining with us virtually. This is a time of religious celebrations across the world. Judaism celebrates Passover. Christianity celebrates Easter. Muslims celebrate Ramadan. Hindus celebrate their Festival of Colors. Pagans celebrate Ostara. Buddhists in Japan celebrate the birthday of the Buddha with their Hanamatsuri flower festival, and on and on. All of these celebrations are meaningful. Our religion of Unitarian Universalism sees worth in them all, and we hope for and we wish to help build a world where religious diversity is grounded in mutual respect, positive curiosity, and gratitude. Again, thanks for coming this morning. We at West Shore have so many good things that are going on. Check out the West Shore Weekly as the insert in your order of service about events coming up, ways you can get involved. And when you go out into the sanctuary, into the rotunda area, there's lots of tables there. You can sign up for various things at those tables. Please check them out. For this, our all-ages Easter service, we will hear a story from the picture book Pig and Crow by Kate Shiro. The character of Pig is in a wintertime place of life. She is sad. She is lonely. But Crow has a few tricks up her sleeve about how Pig's happiness might be reborn, like all of nature is reborn in spring. We hope that you love this sweet, sweet story. Following the service, all of our children are welcome to join us for an Easter egg hunt. Let me hear a cheer for that now. Come on. Yeah. The gathering place is outside of the playground. You will want to get there by 11:30 because that is when the fun begins. So be there. And now, let's greet each other warmly. If you haven't met someone before, please be sure to say hello. And maybe you can offer a wave to the folks watching us at home. Great. Let's greet each other now. Come to this good morning, remembering the journey of freedom. The land we are on was once another's. We mourn the legacies of oppression. Healing is our way forward. Joy is the birthright of all.
Good morning. And happy Easter. I'm Dorothy Fowler, and I'm one of the co-chairs of our campaign called Love Weaves Us Together. You might have read about it in the Shorelines. We've already gotten pledges from our board and many others, and every one of them so far has raised their pledge. This church really does mean love weaves us together, for me. But I've been here a very long time, 50 years this year. There's much gratitude to give back during that time. I want to tell you one short story. My husband, Dolph, many of you knew, died coming up 6 years ago. And he died of Alzheimer's. And he was a two-person lift to get up. Two people in this church helped me every week by coming to the house and helped me with the lifting duties and spending time with Dolph. Mary Jo Mace and Kathy Strausser. That is love that weaves us together. Thank you.
Hello, everybody, and happy Easter. I'm Kip Boland. I'm the other co-chair, along with Dorothy, for the campaign this year, the Pledge campaign. We all, with all the bad that came out of the pandemic, and there was a lot of it, I also saw some good. With the forced break from the workplace, many of us got to spend more time with our families. I did. And many of us reassessed what's important in our lives. We've emerged now from the pandemic to some extent, but we've emerged with a new sense of purpose, or with a firmer grounding of what's most meaningful to us. I have. Personally, I'm working to reassess and put my money where my mouth is and focus on what is most meaningful in my life and consistent with my values. And that includes my commitment to West Shore. This right here is where my daughter Emily and my son Kenny were dedicated. That is where my sister was married. That choir loft up there is where I've spent most of my Sundays. And it's also where I've been able to feed that part of my soul that isn't taken care of during the work week. And this pulpit right here is a source of weekly affirmation, grounding, inspiration, reminders of what's important, and that I'm not alone in the way I think and in what I believe. From this pulpit, I heard Michael McGee, David Cole, Midge Squire, Wayne and Kathleen, and Reverend Anthony. What's meaningful? This place. These people, our values, that's meaningful. So, you'll be asking yourself, what is a meaningful pledge to the church? It's a personal question. I'm not going to tell you the answer, but it has to do with our individual means, our financial pressures and obligations, and the value we each place on this church, its people, and its role in our lives. Now, with these factors in mind, maybe the best way to determine if your pledge is personally meaningful is to ask yourself if it makes you proud. I think a pledge should at least make you a little bit proud. I believe in West Shore, its people, and its values, and so this year I've resolved to making a pledge to West Shore that is personally meaningful. I encourage you to consider what meaningful means to you, and to make a pledge that makes you just a little bit proud this year. Thank you all.
We are entering into a very meaningful time where we think about West Shore, its value for us, and our connection to it, our meaningful connection. And thanks very much to Dorothy and Kip for sharing their stories. And this is a time for us to be, all of us, to be thinking about what is the meaning of this place for us, and what would a meaningful pledge be to help sustain it so we stay strong and continue growing, because the world needs us. The offering will now be given and gratefully received.
was lonely, but baking always raised her spirits. She baked a lot. So on this day, she baked her favorite chocolate swirl fudge cake. She set it on the windowsill to cool, and then Crow swooped down and perched next to the cake. Crow said, "I'll give you something for that cake, something magic." And Crow placed a lumpy bundle on the windowsill, tipped it over, and out spilled several flat oval seeds. And for those of you in the audience, if you look in the envelope you got when you came in, you might just find one of those magic seeds. Pig took one look at those seeds and looked at Crow doubtfully. Pig said, "What's this? I don't believe in magic. What will I do with these seeds?" Crow replied, "These seeds take away loneliness, especially from lonely pigs." Pig and everyone else knew that Crow was a bit of a mystery. She was clever. Sometimes she seemed very wise. Sometimes she was a little bit of a trickster, a little mischievous. It was hard to tell what Crow was up to sometimes. Pig was not sure, but maybe Crow was telling the truth. She took the seeds, and Crow flew away with the cake. As Pig untied the bundle, the rest of the seeds came out, and along with those seeds, there were some instructions. The instructions said,
"To make the magic seeds work, clear weeds and grass to make a garden. Turn the soil, plant the seeds in rows, cover the seeds with soil, water, fertilize, keep watering, wait for magic to happen."
So Pig cleared the weeds and grass, made a big square patch of brown earth, and turned the soil and planted the seeds and covered them, and she watered and fertilized and watered some more. It was all hard work. Finally, little green sprouts appeared, and then vines and large leaves and big yellow flowers. Soon the flowers withered, leaving small green balls. The balls grew larger and larger and turned orange, and finally Pig had some fine, fat pumpkins. But they are only pumpkins. They are not magic, and Pig was lonely once again.
Now the green blade riseth from the berry grain, wheat that in dark earth many days has lain. Love lives again, that with the dead has been. Love is come again, like wheat that springeth green. In the grave they laid him, loved by hatred slain, thinking that never he would wake again. Laid in the earth, like grain that sleeps unseen. Love is come again, like wheat that springeth green. When our hearts are wintry, grieving or in pain, love's touch can call us back to life again. Fields of our hearts that dead and bare have been, love is come again, like wheat that springeth green. from the heart. These cards reflect some of the joys and sorrows on our hearts this morning. This week I will take them into my meditations and pray for all that is our life. And make our own days glad.
Pig was still lonely, even after the magic seeds. To comfort herself, she baked a spicy walnut pumpkin pie, and she set it on the windowsill to cool. Crow smelled the pumpkin pie, and she flew toward the windowsill carrying a little worm. Crow said, "I will trade you this magic worm for that pie. At least some think it's magic." Pig replied, "Of course not. You fooled me last time. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Not again." But Crow kept on. "You look like you're lonely again. This worm will help." Pig looked at the worm. It was different looking, not like the earthworms in her garden. Maybe it is a magic worm, she thought. So Pig made the trade. Crow flew away with the pie, and Pig found a list of instructions next to the little worm.
Keep worm in jar with air holes and lid. Feed lots of fresh wild cherry leaves. Keep jar clean. Wait for magic to happen.
So Pig found an empty olive jar and put the worm inside. Pig said, "I will call you Olive." Pig fed Olive lots of fresh leaves and patiently kept the little worm's home clean. Pig realized she did not feel quite so lonely anymore. But one day, she found the jar empty. Olive wasn't there anymore. There was just this strange brown lump hanging from a twig. Had Crow fooled her again? How did Olive escape? Pig was puzzled and lonely without Olive, but she tried to keep her spirits up all the same. She kept looking in the jar every day, and then one day she saw a strange thing. The brown lump shivered. It began to open. Out came a little black head with antenna. It might look a little bit like the butterfly sticker that's in your envelope. "Olive," said Pig. The antenna quivered, and out popped a wing, and then another wing, and the lump fell away, and a creature with damp, wrinkled wings emerged. "Olive?" said Pig. "Olive, is it you?" Pig danced around the room while Olive fluttered delicately. Pig was so happy, and to celebrate, Pig baked her very best apple raisin pudding. Pig opened the window wide and set the pudding on the windowsill to cool. And she said to herself, "We will celebrate and have a party, and we'll even invite Crow." But the butterfly dipped and danced. The butterfly twirled right past Pig and glided out the open window. "Olive, come back," said Pig. Crow smelled something again. Oh, sorry. And back. Okay, now it's time for the next part of the story. I was just really excited about that bread pudding. Crow smelled something. It was cinnamon and apple. She swooped to the windowsill carrying an egg. It might look a little bit like the chocolate egg that's inside of your envelope, which you are welcome to enjoy. She looked at Pig sympathetically. "I will trade you this egg for that cinnamon apple bread pudding," said Crow. Pig said, "No, you fooled me twice. You will not fool me again." "Well," replied Crow, "I haven't been trying to fool you, Pig, but never mind that. You look very sad. I would say you look lonelier than ever. This egg will change all of that." Crow cocked her head and looked straight into Pig's eyes, and Pig looked back. "You're right, Crow. I am just too sad to eat. Take my bread pudding." So Crow flew away with the pudding, and Pig, when looking underneath the egg, found some instructions. This time the instructions were very, very simple.
To make the magic work, keep eggs safe and warm.
So Pig wrapped the egg in some old cloth and kept it safe and warm. She waited and waited. The waiting was lonely. She thought Crow had really fooled her this time. But then one day Pig heard a sound, a little tap, 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 and the sound came from under the cloth. She'd almost forgotten. She unwrapped the egg and saw a tiny crack. The crack soon became a hole, which became a bigger hole, and then suddenly a fuzzy little head poked out, followed by a long neck and skinny wings and a fuzzy body and some big, awkward feet. "Oh, are you a baby goose?" said Pig. Yes, it was a baby goose. From that day on, Pig was very busy caring for the little goose. It was hard work, but Pig had learned about hard work from tending the seeds. It took patience, but Pig had learned patience caring for little Olive Worm. It took wisdom to appreciate the joy of special challenging moments, but Pig had learned wisdom from Olive Butterfly. Under Pig's care, Goose grew and grew and grew. Pig learned to see the world from a whole different perspective as Goose learned to fly. Pig showed Goose how to cook and to garden. Goose showed Pig how to swim. And together, they invited Crow to dinner. One night, the three of them enjoyed a delicious meal together. Crow, after the meal, flew off into the brightly colored evening sky. Pig turned to Goose and said, "I thought Crow had tried to fool me, but her trades really were like magic." Goose just fluffed up a few feathers and honked softly. They both stared at the red and golden clouds for a long time and watched as the sun set and the moon rose over the land. Pig was never lonely again. Even after Goose left on longer and longer trips out into the wider world, they always felt close at heart to one another.
You guys did great. That was good. Let's some more love. Come on. Show them some more love. That was great. Oh, that was so good. You know, if you're here for the first time, it might not be unreasonable for me to assume that you were expecting to hear about a certain Christian doctrine that many, not all, but many strands of Christianity affirm: the bodily resurrection of Jesus. For many folks, Easter and Jesus' physical resurrection go together like peanut butter and jelly. They go together like hot dogs and mustard. But you have just witnessed a sweet story about the power of love to enable transformation. You were introduced to a character named Pig, who started out submerged in wintry feelings of sadness and loneliness. But along comes another character named Crow. Crow is always attracted to Pig's baking, but Crow gives as much as she takes. And as the story unfolds, you see how there is a loving logic to what Crow gives. She gave seeds first, which required hard work to tend. The next gift was that of a caterpillar, which taught Pig patience. When it became a butterfly, it taught Pig wisdom. Hard work, patience, and wisdom in turn enabled Pig to be able to receive the third gift of an egg, which became a goose, which in the end healed Pig of her sadness and loneliness. It's a story about the power of love to enable transformation. However, it is not explicitly about Jesus and the resurrection. And I'm wondering if you are missing that explicit reference to the resurrection on Easter Sunday. Let's talk about how Unitarian Universalists do Easter. We take the concept of the resurrection and we expand it. We make it larger than what the Bible says happened to a specific person named Jesus at a singular time in history. One of our most famous Unitarian Universalist ancestors, Ralph Waldo Emerson, urged people in 1838 to do exactly this. And here is why. Because, to Emerson's mind, Jesus taught a democratic view of the Spirit. Jesus taught that all people are children of God and have potentials for divine living in their own right. Jesus was only an example of what might be possible for all of us. For Jesus, religion was never meant to be all about Jesus. Emerson taught this in 1838, and let me tell you, he got into some huge trouble. Oh, he was banned, he was castigated, he was pushed out by fellow Unitarians. But today, we Unitarian Universalists are all Emersonians. We don't dwell on the physical resurrection of Jesus because that's not really what our religion is all about. What we dwell on instead is how spiritual transformation is a possibility for everyone, especially when life feels impossibly stuck. One powerful example of this is, of course, Jesus' own story of his brutal death and then his coming alive again. It's one example of such a thing, expressed, we would say, mythologically. But when a Unitarian Universalist celebrates Easter, the focus is on how anyone could be stuck in a place of suffering. And we proclaim that suffering never needs to be the last word. Transformation is yet possible. Keep hope alive. We might even speak of resurrection if we use that term more broadly, more inclusively. Life can only be understood backwards, said the great Christian philosopher Soren Kierkegaard, but it must be lived forward. Whenever you find yourself in the same place that Pig was in at the start of the story, and you are in some wintertime emotional space of sadness and loneliness, and it is very much like the tomb in which Jesus' dead body lay. Unitarian Universalism calls you to believe. It calls you to have faith, to stay curious, about what is going to happen next for you, to not succumb to despair. Something or someone like Crow is going to come to you, and maybe it will seem unclear what it all means. Crow wants to trade you pumpkin seeds for your baked goods, but what's that going to lead to? Do it anyhow. Say yes. Then thank you. Then say yes again when Crow comes and wants to trade you a worm, or when she comes yet a third time and wants to trade you an egg. Life must be lived forward. Live it forward with a faithful yes. Can I hear an amen to that? Amen. Because the most powerful transformations are not the ones you can plan, not the ones you can foresee. There is a destiny for each of us, but it is mysterious. And things are going to happen at their own time and at their own pace. Have faith in your life. Nature teaches, winter time never lasts forever. Always spring comes. When our hearts are wintry, grieving, or in pain, love's touch can call us back to life again. Fields of our hearts that dead and bare have been, love is come again, like wheat that springeth green. For Unitarian Universalists, that is the good news of Easter time for everyone. Yes. Amen. Let us now read together our responsive reading in your hymnal, the gray hymnal, number 628, Rolling Away the Stone. I will read the italicized part. You will read the regular part. I don't know if it's up there on the screen. If it is, we're going to alternate. I'll start. Number 628 in your hymnal, back of the hymnal. In the tomb of the soul, we carry secret yearnings, pains, frustrations, loneliness, fear, regrets, worries. In the tomb of the soul, we wrap ourselves in the security of darkness. Sometimes it prepares us for experience. Sometimes it insulates us from life. In this season, where light and darkness balance the day, we seek balance for ourselves. May it be so. Let us now say our extinguishing the chalice words together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry with us until we meet again. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the words, and fill the sky with sailing birds. Let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. Learn to follow, learn to lead. Feel the rhythm, feel the need. To reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you, through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Everybody turn and spin. With the wind, and like a willow in the wind. Let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. A child is born, the old must die. A time for joy, a time to cry. Take it as it passes by. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you, through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Morning star comes out at night. Without the dark there is no light. If nothing's wrong, then nothing's right. Let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. Let the sun shine, let it rain. Share the laughter, bear the pain. And round we go again. Let it be a dance. Oh, those words, take those words with you. Let it be a dance. Let the sun shine, let it rain. Share the laughter, bear the pain. And round we go again. Let it be a dance.